I think people are rarely actually where they are anymore. Not physically. They're still sitting on the bus, standing in line, lying in bed, eating, talking, working. But mentally, it feels like part of them is always somewhere else. Like attention stopped being a fixed thing and became something that keeps drifting just slightly out of reach. And the strange part is how normal it feels now. Nobody really notices it in real time. It just becomes the background condition of life. You open your phone for a second, and that second disappears. Not because anything important happened, but because your mind quietly left the moment without asking permission. There's this constant low-level pull happening underneath everything. A sense that something else might be happening somewhere more interesting. Something new. Something slightly more stimulating than whatever is right in front of you. And even when nothing is happening, the mind still behaves like it should be ready for something. So stillness starts to feel unnatural. Not peaceful. Not calm. Just unfamiliar. Like your brain doesn't fully trust it anymore. And because of that, people fill it automatically. Without thinking. A quick scroll. A video. A message check. A switch of attention so fast it barely registers as a decision. It's not even about enjoyment most of the time. It's just to remove the gap. The empty space where nothing is demanding you. But that empty space is exactly where presence is supposed to live. And it's getting harder to stay there. Even when nothing external is happening, the mind doesn't really settle. It keeps moving, from thought to thought, from memory to expectation, from what just happened to what might happen next. It rarely lands fully in what is happening right now. It's like being in a room, but never fully sitting down. And over time, that changes how experience feels. Not in a dramatic way. There's no obvious breaking point. It's more subtle than that. Meals get finished without being fully noticed. Conversations happen while part of the attention is elsewhere. Even quiet moments get treated as temporary pauses before the next input. So life becomes something you move through rather than something you fully inhabit. And the mind adjusts to that pattern. It starts expecting interruption. It starts structuring attention in short bursts instead of continuous streams. Even when you try to focus, there's a part of you waiting for the next switch, the next ping, the next reason to look away. It's not lack of discipline, it's conditioning. The brain learned a different rhythm, and the more that rhythm repeats, the harder it becomes to notice how fragmented things feel. One of the clearest signs is memory. Not the big memories. Those still exist, but the small ones. The texture of a day, the feeling of passing time, the in-between moments that usually give life its continuity. Those start to fade faster than they used to. You remember checking your phone, but not what you were feeling before you checked it. You remember scrolling, but not why you opened it in the first place. You remember conversations, but not the quiet that surrounded them. So days start to feel compressed. Not shorter, just less defined. Like they passed through you instead of being lived inside. And that creates a strange emotional effect. Time feels faster, even when nothing is actually accelerating. It's just that fewer moments are fully recorded by attention. So everything blends together. There's less contrast between experiences. Everything starts to feel slightly similar. Even emotions begin to shift in that direction. People still feel things, of course, but feelings are interrupted more frequently. A moment of sadness gets paused by a notification. A moment of boredom gets replaced immediately. A moment of reflection gets cut off before it develops. So emotions don't always get the time to fully form. They appear, but they don't always settle. And that changes how you relate to your own internal world. Because it starts to feel like you're always in the middle of something, but never fully inside it. There's also this quiet habit that almost everyone has developed now without noticing. The habit of pairing everything with something else. Eating while watching, walking while listening, waiting while scrolling, sitting in silence, but immediately filling it. Silence has become something to manage, not something to experience. But silence is where attention resets itself. Without it, the mind never fully clears. It just keeps stacking input on top of input. And eventually, even rest starts to feel slightly incomplete. You can be physically resting, but mentally still moving, still processing, still switching, still half engaged with something that isn't there anymore. And that creates a kind of invisible exhaustion. Not the kind you can point to, not the kind that shows up clearly, just a sense that your mind is always slightly full, even when nothing important is happening. There's another layer to it too, which is harder to notice. Identity starts to feel less stable. Not in a dramatic sense. You're still you, but the experience of being you becomes more fragmented. Different environments bring out different versions, different apps, different moods, different versions of attention. And because attention is constantly shifting, the sense of continuity weakens. You don't feel like one continuous stream of experience as much as a sequence of states. And that can make life feel slightly disconnected, even when everything is technically fine. It's subtle, almost unnoticeable day to day. But over time, it builds a feeling that's hard to describe. Not unhappiness, not anxiety, just distance. From the moment, from time, from yourself. Even connection with other people changes shape in this environment. Conversations still happen, messages still get exchanged, but there's often a split attention running underneath it. Part of you is there, part of you is somewhere else, and you can feel it, even if you don't say it out loud. It's not that people don't care. It's that attention is divided too many ways for anything to fully hold it. And without full attention, connection feels lighter, less grounded, more temporary. Even boredom, which used to be a natural part of life, has almost disappeared in its original form. Now it's immediately replaced. The second it appears, it gets removed. But boredom wasn't just empty time. It used to be a kind of mental reset, a space where thoughts could unfold without interruption. Without it, the mind never fully reorganizes itself. It just keeps reacting, keeps consuming, keeps moving, and that movement becomes the default state. There are moments when people notice this, usually in quiet environments, late at night, early morning, or when the phone is out of reach long enough that the habit can't immediately activate. In those moments, something slightly different appears, a kind of awareness that things feel louder than they should, not externally, but internally, like the mind has been running in the background for too long, without pause. And there's a brief clarity in that realization, but it rarely lasts, because the next impulse arrives quickly. Check something, open something, return to motion, and the cycle continues. It's not that modern life is broken. It functions exactly as designed. It delivers constant input, constant availability, constant engagement. It keeps attention occupied almost all the time. The question is what that does to presence. Because presence doesn't survive constant interruption very well. It needs space. It needs continuity. It needs moments that are not immediately replaced by something else. Without that, it becomes something you only access briefly, almost accidentally. And maybe that's what people are feeling without fully naming it. Not that life is worse, not that anything is clearly wrong, but that being fully inside it has become harder than it used to be. Like there's always a thin layer between you and the moment you're in. And over time, that layer becomes normal. So normal that you stop noticing it's there. But it's still there. In the way time feels slightly faster than it should. In the way memories feel less detailed than expected. In the way silence feels slightly uncomfortable now. In the way attention keeps wanting to leave before the moment is finished. And maybe the most interesting part is that nothing dramatic caused it. It didn't arrive suddenly. It built itself through small habits, small choices, small patterns repeated over and over until they became the default way of being awake. So when people say they don't feel present anymore, it's not a mystery condition. It's just what happens when attention stops staying long enough in one place to fully register where it is. And the result is a life that still moves forward normally, still functions, still connects, still happens, but is experienced in fragments rather than as a whole. Sometimes it becomes noticeable only in fragments, like a brief interruption in the usual flow of awareness, a second where everything feels slightly paused, even though nothing has actually stopped. In those small gaps, there's a recognition that attention has been scattered for longer than expected. It is not dramatic, just clear enough to register. Then it fades again as quickly as it appeared, replaced by the next input, the next habit, the next movement toward something else that asks for attention without ever fully completing the moment it interrupts, that it briefly disrupts before continuing again unnoticed flow.